G'day guys, welcome to episode 137 of Ask Jack D. Today I take 3 questions, all from Snapchat, about writing books. Should we self-publish? Actually, they're gone. Should we self-publish? How much should... Fuck. Let's do it again. Tell me when you got that. Got it. Cool. G'day guys, welcome to episode 137 of Ask Jack D. Today we take 3 questions from Snapchat, all regarding writing books, including should you self-publish or publish with a traditional publisher? I give you my answer to that question and the 2 sides of that coin. Second question being, what budget should we allocate? And third question being, there is very little financial return in writing a book. Why on earth would you bother?
Fly away quickly and push the world forward like a tidal wave hit me. I ride the wave swiftly, I fear no man. Check my titles, mate, quickly. Came from the sky with the light of day in me and grew my own wings so the pilot came with me.
G'day guys, welcome to episode 137 of Ask Jack D. Today we take 2 questions from Snapchat, 3 really, about publishing books. The first couple of questions comes from Hayley Hughes. If you haven't added me on Snapchat yet, make sure you do. My username is just Jack Delosa. Hayley says, hey Jack, my question is, I'm looking to write and publish my first book. Should I look at going with a traditional publisher or self-publish, and why? Hayley, my view on that is, for the first time round, go with a traditional publisher if you can. And the only reason is, in my view, they don't add a whole lot of value beyond what you could probably do yourself. However, I think there is a lot of value when the first time you go through really any process, particularly writing a book where there's so many different inputs and outputs and variables, do so with a bunch of people that have done it heaps of times before. Now, even if you do go with a traditional publisher, you will need to input a lot of the creative direction, because they probably won't. The creative direction, the creative marketing ideas, anything that's slightly out of the box, you will probably need to bring to the table. However, it's just useful having another team of people in a traditional publisher that have done the mechanics a million times and can walk you through it. Do not sign a 2-book deal. Sign a 1-book deal, because what I would encourage you to do is, on the second time round, self-publish. The reason why self-publishing makes more sense in my view, provided you've done it once with the publisher and therefore learnt the game, a part of the game, is when you publish with a publisher, they effectively have the rights to that manuscript. So to simplify that a little bit, look at it as if they own the manuscript for either 10 years or until the book stops selling or until you buy it back from them. So they own that manuscript. So if you publish with a traditional publisher, every time you want to get a copy of your book, you need to pay $15 for it. And then you might sell it at your events or through your website or to your audience. You might sell it for $24.95 or something. So you're making $10 a book, which is great. It's just not, which is good, it's just not great. Whereas when you self-publish, you will be able to buy books. If you're buying in lots of like 5 or 10,000, you'll be able to buy your own book, right? Once you self-published, for between $1.50 to $2.50, depending on the volume that you're buying at any given time. So if you're selling it for $25, you're kind of making $23 a book as opposed to making $10 a book. So your margin's literally more than double when you self-publish. The other thing is it allows you more marketing longitude, in terms of more flexibility around how you get the book into the hands of consumers, because you're not going through traditional models and mindsets to get it out there, right? So my suggestion would be use a publisher first time round, second time round, self-publish. So your second question is also, what kind of cost would I be looking at to successfully launch the book? Let's say you self-publish. You buy 5,000 books for $2 a book. That's 10,000 for your first print run. Let's say you want 3,500 for, let's say 3,000 for an editor. That's 13,000. I then have a project manager and a bunch of other things going on, and quite a significant marketing budget. But you could get it done. Let's say you self-publish. You could probably get it done for between 10 and 15,000 if you needed to get it done within that budget. That would be more than enough to self-publish and get it syndicated through all of the different channels. The next question comes from a different Snapchatter who I have also screenshotted. I think her name is Ali Fisher, and I actually really love this question. Sorry, that was the wrong question. The question actually comes from Gemlo1, who I've also screenshotted. Sorry, Ali, yours is a completely different question. I'll answer that over on Snapchat. Gemlo says, when writing a book, aren't you just spending a heap of time? My words aren't working. Aren't you just spending a heap of time for little financial return? Why would you do that? I actually really love and respect that question because I would have thought the same thing. When producing and publishing, distributing, selling books, the money isn't in the book, right? The money is not in the book. You want to break even on the exercise of the book. You want to make a little bit of profit if you can, right? Which would be great. And which you should. You should do a little bit of profit. However, it's not going to float your entire business. It's not going to enable you to retire or anything like that. It's simply just going to cash flow the project, maybe with a little bit of profit left over at the end of the exercise. So why would you do it, in Gemlo's words? You do it because of the business or the exposure or the brand value that it builds off the back of the book. I cannot tell you, when I wrote Unprofessional, which was a few years ago now, so much of Unprofessional I'd written in blogs, I'd written for like Sydney Morning Herald, I'd written for like The Age, so like well-established newspapers that have spent billions and billions of dollars building their brand. And in the Entourage blog and different blogs and all this, a lot of it was already all out there, right? And I've been writing about a lot of it for years and years and years. When I put it in a book and put a shiny cover around it and said, here, you can have it for $25 and people could hold it and touch it, the perception of the value that was within it was like incomparable to the blogs that I'd been writing for so long up until that point. So the value of a book is, can it help you generate clients? Can it help you generate customers? Can it build connection with audience? Can it build brand value? Can it help you generate leads? Can it help you get into different strategic partners if you're working with corporates and they might buy your book in bulk? There's all of these creative lateral ideas and methods with which you can leverage a book where the upside becomes far greater. So you might make 10 or 15 or 50 grand off a book, but the business the products that helps you sell initially might be 100 or 150 grand. And then the coaching or the consulting or the whatever that you sell in the back, and that might be 400 grand. And so what started off as a fairly small exercise has become significant in the coming months and the coming years in terms of what you've been able to get into people's hands so that you can touch your audience in multiple different ways over the coming years after the book. That is where the money is made. So the strategy is not the book. The book is the lead magnet. The book is the wedge into the hands of your customer. How well it financially performs comes down to how good is your marketing funnel and how good is your sales process.